Hi Libra, welcome to your October 2018 Astro Update. It's Serena here, and this is a month for your solar return, is it not? Happy birthday to those of you who are born in October, as well as those born in late September, because you'll probably be listening in the month of September for the most part. And it's going to be a rather quiet month, I dare say, except for the fact that your ruler, Venus, retrogrades on the 5th of the month. But let's start at the very beginning. As we begin the month, the sun is in your sign. You should feel a lot more energized, Libra, than you have in previous weeks. Maybe you felt that way at the end of September because the sun went into your sign, your solar return period began, and that's when the sun went into the first house. I'm speaking of during the time of Virgo. When the sun was in your 12th house, you might not have felt as energetic, your energy might have been depleted, and now you may be raring to go. The sun in the first house gives you a certain vitality and even like an extroverted nature that you may want to shine your light on others and also on yourself, I should say, more than anything. So you might be promoting yourself quite a bit, however it pertains to whatever your particular goals are at this time in your journey through life. And at this time that the sun is in that first house, Venus is in the second house, which is really awesome for attracting money. Venus is the attractor and Venus rules the second house. So it's a wonderful 1-2 punch because when a planet goes into the house that it rules, it's very effective there. It's just like when Jupiter is going to go into Sagittarius in November. That's going to be wonderful for all of us, not just Sagittarians. Of course, I am a sun in Sagittarius, so for me, it is going to be that as well, but everybody, because Jupiter functions best and it's in the sign that it rules. So Venus functions very well in the house that it rules. So that should be very good for anything that involves increasing the money that you're earning. It could, be tied to your job or something like that, or just money in general coming to you, flowing to you very nicely at this time. And so this is how the month begins, which is a very nice way to begin the month. And then on the 5th, your ruler Venus retrogrades at 10 degrees of Scorpio in that second house. Now, the second house is the house of the money that you earn. So when we earn money, it's how do we do that? It's for some kind of a job. Now, it could be something that we're doing ourselves or working for somebody else. But regardless, this is something to keep in the back of your mind, because if you notice that the money seems to be kind of like slowing down for some reason, realize that this too shall pass. Actually, Venus will go back into the first house at the very end of the month. So it's going to leave the second house, and it's just a temporary, kind of hiccup. And there's a reason that these planets go retrograde. It's there to teach us something. And retrogrades force us to slow down. They also force us to look at some area of our life. And it's almost like, to me, putting the mirror close to our face and forcing us to look at a particular issue by making that issue, kind of front and center. So you may have to look at how, and I think, this is very interesting because it is going to go back into your first house during the retrograde cycle. So this may be more of a self-esteem issue, Libra, than it is even a monetary issue, because the first house is the house of the self. It's how you present yourself to others, and just your self-concept in general, I would assume, along with that. And then the second house is that self-esteem. See, the first house is more about identity, and the second house is how you value yourself. And you're kind of like reviewing this. And it's good to review these kinds of issues, because with Libra, there is this tendency to always think of others. The other, that's what Libra is all about, which is what the seventh house is about, you and somebody else. It could be a romantic partner. It could be a client, any type of one-on-one relationship. And you may even have something come up for you that symbolizes all of this. Maybe some kind of an event that forces you to, question how much you love yourself, how much you value yourself. You're going to have a new moon on the 8th of the month, so a few days after the retrograde begins. The new moon in the first house of the self. It's time to reinvent yourself. And it's time for Libra to really honor the self. Love is grand. It's love is all you need, right? To quote the Beatles. But on the other hand, we need to have a sense of ourselves. And if you're trying to twist yourself into a pretzel, Libra, to be acceptable to somebody else, it's time to call a moratorium on that and to declare yourself somebody who is going to present yourself in an authentic way and let the chips fall where they may. If somebody doesn't like who you are, there's plenty of fish in the sea. There's plenty of other people out there that you can get with that will appreciate you for your sparkling qualities. But unfortunately, since Libra rules the area of partnership, this becomes a very, you are hell-bent on having that type of relationship. And unfortunately, you may settle for less than you deserve from time to time. So now is time to take back your life. And this retrograde period, along with the new moon happening during this Venus retrograde, is a great time to kind of declare your sovereignty, declare your right to have a respectful relationship, a mutual relationship, and all the good things that entail in that type of relationship. The very next day, Mercury goes into Scorpio in that second house, so you may be you may have your mind very preoccupied on your finances, especially because Venus is retrograding there. You may be going, whoa, hold up here. But see, this is where astrology is very valuable, because if you were just going about your merry way and you didn't know what astrology represents, if you didn't know what these transits that were going to happen in October, you might panic. You might go, whoa, what's going on with my earnings? And now you can relax and know that this too shall pass, and that Venus is going direct in, it's only going to be retrograding for 5 weeks. So it could be a lot worse. I mean, Jupiter retrograded for months. And so this is something that we have to go through every year and a half or so when Venus retrogrades. And so that's another reason it's significant, is that it's going to go back into your sign, but this doesn't happen all the time, like a Mercury retrograde, for instance. So it is pretty significant for Libras that this is occurring. And it may mean something. It may mean a new day. When Venus goes direct on November 16th, you may have worked something out within yourself about what you deserve in life. And that can impact you positively in all areas, Libra, not just your love life. On the 23rd of the month, you can see how long a period of time. There's such a gap. There's not much going on in this month. Then the sun goes into your second house of earned income as well. So there's a lot of energy in that second house. And you may be trying to come up with creative ideas on how you can attract more money into your reality. I think that when Venus goes back into that second house, you're going to see quite a good second go-around of Venus in that house. Because you're reviewing something, Libra, and you're going to get it right after the fact. And that's going to be very profitable for you if you play your cards right. So the sun goes into that second house, the focus becomes more practical, more grounded. Taurus matters, the ruler of the second house. So anything to do with the money that you earn or your possessions, you may be like more involved with them at this time. And the third, well, it's funny, I didn't write this down, but I know that there's a full moon in Taurus, ironically, which is the ruler of that second house, on the 24th. So the day after the sun goes into Scorpio, we have the full moon in Taurus at only 1 degree of Taurus. So it really is close to the cusp with your opposite sign of Aries. And let me look here for a second, because I do believe there's going to be a conjunction with Uranus at this time, which is very exciting as far as how this impacts you. It's going to be at 0 degrees of Taurus, Uranus, in retrograde motion, which is really wild and crazy. But it's going to form a conjunction with Uranus retrograde. So look for at this time, since this is affecting your 8th house, this could really be a time, Libra, if you have any kind of probate issues, or maybe this isn't even something that you're aware of, out of the blue, someone, maybe some kind of a long-lost relative, could have a will that just suddenly comes into play, and who knows, you could really see some kind of a windfall, for lack of a better word. I don't know if you want to call that a windfall, but yeah, any kind of time you get money. And again, this is coming during a Venus retrograde, but this is the interesting thing about Venus retrograde, Libra. It can also be a time when money that is due to you comes back to you. So this might be something that had been litigated in the past and now coming back into motion, and maybe just a sudden turn of events gives you a cut of this, a piece of this money. And so you're profiting from other people's money. That's what the 8th house represents. It's opposing that second house of the money that you earn. So just keep that in mind. It could be some kind of a twist of fate that comes into fruition at this Taurus full moon for you. And then on Halloween, on the 31st, we have 2 transits. Mercury goes into Sagittarius, the 3rd house, which it rules. So like I said before, with Venus in the 2nd, Mercury in the 3rd is right where it should be. Say hi to the train. And so this is very good for communication because Mercury is fluid in this house. It's really where it should be. The ruler of this house is Gemini, one of 2 signs, the other being Virgo, that Mercury rules. And so this can be about teaching and learning and communicating in general. So you may have something that you want to, communicate to others that is in the form of a book or a blog, or maybe you're studying for teaching and you have to do like student teaching. You have to do a lot of public speaking of some sort. I don't know, but I'm just putting it out there. A lot of writing, maybe online stuff. On the same day, Venus goes back into your sign. So Venus is retrograding back into that house of the self, back into the sign that it rules. So, like we say, Venus rules Libra, and so it's at home here. Even when it's retrograding, this could involve you examining the way that you look, how you present yourself, kind of taking that into account. They say not to do any kind of beauty makeovers during a Venus retrograde because it could cloud your judgment. You might think something looks good that doesn't, but it's all up to you how you want to handle this. But these are the last 2 transits of the month. So I think that other than the Venus retrograde, this is kind of a quiet month. And remember that a lot of these planets are direct. So you may be still, even with the Venus retrograde, seeing a lot of progress that is coming in from the month of September when all systems were go. So that's very exciting. This could be the harvest time for some of you when it comes to certain things. Now, I think that there's a monetary component to this, but there may be kind of like a little bit of a surprise that you think the money's going to come from one place and it ends up coming from another. That's always a possibility. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. So good luck to you in October. If you would like to, maybe for your birthday, if you've never had your natal chart read for you, I do that. And it's something that I really enjoy doing, where I look at the year ahead for you, the trends that are happening. But I also look at where your planets are, what signs they're in, especially your inner planets, because those are the things that really affect your personality and some of the traits, the talents that you have, the houses these planets are in, and your North Node, stuff like that. And so you can check me out. I'm going to put a link for my natal chart interpretation below. I also just do the trends by themselves for a shorter type of reading. But I wish you all the best in the coming solar cycle for you, Libra. It's very exciting to have your birthday again. It's a great time to set intentions and just plan for the future. It's always fun to have new dreams, isn't it? Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye.